Welcome to Nitpicking Nerds, and today we got a top 10 for you.
It's the top 10 equipment of all time in Commander.
I'm your host, Joe Cherries.
I'm your host, Beezy, and that makes us the Nitpicking Nerds. We're bringing you daily Magic content every single day. No one else in the entire universe does it, so you might as well not even check to them and just subscribe to this channel. But also, you could really help us out by going to TCG Player. We have an affiliate link in the description, and if you shop through that link, when you check out, we get a kickback on the order, and you don't spend anything extra, so you'll really be helping us out this month, especially this month, because we're trying to meet a special goal. And if you do, we got top 100 blue cards of all time coming up hot.
It is super important. If you were planning on buying Magic cards this month, please use our affiliate link. Seriously, it'll help us out a ton more than you could possibly imagine. Also, stay tuned for the In the Middle Maxfield shout out because they're sponsoring us and we love them.
So it's inevitable, and we will trick you into thinking that it's not there.
Yes, we're gonna trick you, and you're gonna be like, "Oh, they got me again!" All right,
let's go check it out.
Let's get into this video. Top 10 equipment
Based on what?
Power and playability. This is pretty much everything that goes into it. Like, how good is something when it's on the battlefield is one thing, but say it has, for example, it's a red equipment. Well, that's less playability, which will move it down the list because it can obviously go into less decks.
Yeah, we got top 10 in the whole format. If you're wondering, what are the best equipment? This is your answer, all right? What is number 10? Let's just get right into it.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. It is Nim Death Mantle. 2-mana equipment, 4 to equip. The equipped creature gets +2/+2 Intimidate, and it's a black zombie. On top of all that, whenever a non-token creature you control dies, you can pay 4 mana. If you do, you return it to the battlefield, and you equip Nim Death Mantle to it. This is not a particularly powerful one to just equip and put onto your creature. It's not giving you much. 6 mana to give your creature +2/+2 and Intimidate is atrocious. This is a combo piece. It is classic. Everyone knows. You know BZ, right?
Do I know?
Grave Titan.
It's like
it goes infinite with Grave Titan.
People try to make Grave Titan playable, and it still doesn't work for me. There's way better ways to do it, but it will go infinite with anything that makes like a token, and because that's 4 mana, boom, Zach could get it back for infinite ETBs, infinite dice triggers, infinite creatures if you make more than 1 token.
I mean, the important cards, the actual important factual card to this combo, and what makes this card so good is Ashnod's Altar. That is actually the card that takes Nim Death Mantle from fringe. Slow battle cruiser maybe meta.
Yeah, battle cruiser is a good way to describe it.
Like that kind of card too. Top 10 in the format because it combos so easily. You only need to make, if the creature makes 2 tokens, you make infinite tokens. If the creature produces 1, you get infinite dies triggers and infinite enters the battlefield triggers. There's 1,010 ways in this format to pay that off, and that's what this card's all about.
Yeah, the weird thing is this is like basically just not an equipment. I'm never going to equip it. There's no reason to. Any one of your creatures can die as long as it's non-token for any reason. The Nim Death Mantle just triggers. You don't have to equip. So I don't know why. This just seems like a weird design, like a poor design for an equipment, because it just isn't one. But it says equipment on the type. So guess what? In here.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great way to put it. It's a combo piece, not an equipment.
I mean, it just doesn't even act like an equipment. You play 2 for it, and you never equip it. It never gives bonuses. It just gives your creatures back.
Yeah. All right. What do we have next? What is that number 9?
It's Robostars, 1 and a white for an equipment. Obviously, it gives +0/+3. It equips for 1, and the equipped creature can phase out for 1 and a white. And you can just kind of activate that at instant speed. There's no restriction on it, so you can keep doing it if someone tries to remove your thing. This card is brutal in the right deck. It's not like an auto include, but if you're trying to beat down and you got a scary commander, equipping this to it makes it as close to unkillable as I've ever seen on anything. You utilize it on your turn, smash in, get whatever value you can. Then on your turn, if you have like 4 mana up, you just go phase it out. No one's going to respond to it. And if they do, you have the mana up. No one's going to respond to it. It phases out, and now nothing can happen to it until your next turn when you just start the same thing over again.
One of the biggest thing about this card, I love it in a it's a Voltron-y style type thing where you can make one creature really, really big, make it a huge threat, and just get it off the battlefield until next turn. And if you you want to combine this with lifelink, as your Voltron decks do.
Ooh.
Voltron decks love lifelink, where you can beat in for
10,
15 damage. Okay, you get in, you gain that life back, and then you can just get it off the battlefield. Feel safe. Your thing can't be answered until it comes back the next turn, and even then, you're going to have mana up. I love combining this with lifelink, Voltron strategies. That's where I want it.
Well, I think the thing people miss about Robostars is that when you phase out the creature, everything attached to it also phases out, including Robostars. So it's not like your usual thing of, wow, this equipment, Darksteel Plate, makes it indestructible. It's like, yeah, but Darksteel Plate's just chilling. and so is your commander. This is like, no, they're just not here. Neither one of them is here. You can't possibly remove them.
Yeah, phasing is a weird ability.
Yes.
And when you phase a creature out, all equipments and auras attached to it phase out with it. So that's just a ruling thing. It's not specific to Robustars. It's specific to phasing, and it's quite a strange one from the olden days. And they've brought it back. Like
the resurgence of phasing. No one saw that coming.
I can honestly say, I would have never seen it come because phasing sounds. It's like they did it with Teferi's protection. It's like, oh, that was a weird choice.
And then Teferi, it's like, oh, that's a weird choice. And they're like, no. Like every year and a half, we'll just give you a phasing.
No, phasing is just a thing now. We got one in Kamigawa. At number 8, we have Sword of Feast and Famine. And I'll give you a little spoiler. This is the only sword on our entire list. 3 mana, equips for 2, and the equipped creature gets +2/+2 protection from green, protection from black, and whenever it deals combat damage, that player that was dealt damage discards a card, and you untap all of your lands. Swords are pretty cool, and they're really fun and beloved cards.
The swords of X and Y, because there is another sword on this list, but
Yeah.
no sword of X and Y on here.
Yeah, the swords of X and Y, the like Feast and Famine,
Fire and Ice,
all those. This is the only one making this list, and they're really fun and they're beloved. They're
for sure.
They're absolutely beloved cards for their great design.
Because they're cool.
They are, and 110%. We love the swords. This one gives you the most bang for your buck. It is the only one that has infinite combos.
Yeah, there's combos with sword. If you're aggravating, assaulting, and there's black creatures, or you can get through somehow with a flyer. It's just infinite combats. It's sort of like taking an extra turn.
You definitely 100% kill any player that cannot block now.
They're dead.
They are dead. If they only have green and black creatures or they just don't have a blocker, you will get infinite combats. You will kill them with aggravated assault. This card is just very, very, very strong. By itself as just a fun little, like, I'm just going to put it on my creatures to get a fair. You basically get an extra turn. It's like time walking.
It's close.
You hit, you get a whole next extra turn. You tap. I mean, people are going to be using removal. If you put this on a 1/1, people are going to use removal on your 1/1 if they can't answer your sword because they don't want you to untap your lands because that's how powerful of an effect it is.
It's really good. And green and black, this is probably one of the most relevant protections to give because those are 2 of the 3 colors, white being the other one, that are going to gum up the board the most.
Yes.
And just have stupid blockers laying around. It's like, no, I'm just going to get right past that.
Yeah, exactly. Green and black, like something like Sword of Fire and Ice. Like
there's not a lot of blue-red creatures in your way.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot less blue-red creatures in your way, though that sword is decent. But yeah, like you said, green-black, they're clogging up the board. You're going, green is making tokens. Black is making tokens. I mean, the only color we can't get through is white, which is making a lot of tokens too. But whatever, we'll deal with that.
Yeah, just throw this on a Nether Trader and go to town.
Oh,
go to town.
That's so strong.
Number 7, this is a Joe Cherry special. He loves this card more than life itself. It's Shadow Spear. It's a 1-mana artifact. Guess what? It's an equipment. It gives +1/+1 trample lifelink, which is a lot of stats. It equips for 2, and which is always ends up being relevant. The last ability, pay 1. All the other stuff you don't have loses hexproof and indestructible, and I do believe that is the exact wording.
So I think this card is every last bit of it is what makes it so good.
It needs all of it to scrape together.
It becomes an amazing card. Lifelink is to get lifelink for so cheap is great. Like,
yes.
but we have Basilisk Collar for that. But you know what's way better than Death Touching Commander on average? Trample.
If you're trying to bash in, I'd much rather have Trample.
Yeah, if you have a creature you want to sneak through, you want to give it lifelink and trample. The life gain is super relevant in any meta that is not comboing. I think this card is a staple of your non-combo metas.
Yeah.
Another thing I love about this card, Urza Saga, another card you can play all over the place. This is one of my go-to. I need a package for Urza Saga. Get in my deck. I love it.
Yeah, it'll bolster your Stoneforge package, all that different stuff. It's a good card. I mean, whenever I see it, it's pretty annoying. I like playing indestructible and hexproof cards every once in a while. And if there's a Shadow Spear, I'm just like, oh, really? Come on.
I mean, I think Shadow Spear, it's so good. I think the gods are something that they're tough to answer. And players even play stuff to answer them because they're such an annoying thing because
sometimes it's a meta call.
Something like Perforos, that card needs to be answered.
You're on a clock.
It really, really does need to be answered. And I think it's really awesome that something like Shadow Spear can turn by Nature's Claim. Just let me Nature's Claim Perforos. How good does it feel to Nature's Claim Perforos?
Pretty dang good. How about number 6, Cherries? What is it?
Well, it is Embercleave. 4 red for an equipment. Enters the battlefield. Auto-equips. It has flash. Very strange for an equipment to have flash.
It also reduces its cost based on attacking creatures.
This is a strange equipment, but equipped creature gets +1/+1, trample, and double strike. This will KO you from out of nowhere.
From out of nowhere, slithering up into your hand and just delivering the killing blow. Obviously there's a prerequisite of your commander has to be able to dish out some damage. But if you can get your commander up to, what's the requirement? 10, then throw an Embercleave, it's like, boom, game over. You just take 22 and die. I think this card's pretty sweet. Notably, there is a lack of Blackblade Reforged on this list, and Joe Cherry's he's been playing it a lot to test it, and he's not been a fan of it, so he's taking it out of his decks, and it's like, for 5 mana, I'd rather just Embercleave. It's like the same boost, but out of nowhere for the same mana cost.
Yeah, and I want to say I think Blackblade Reforged has homes and decks, but I think Embercleave, something that speaks highly to this card. This is a red card. This only goes in red decks. This is a double red pip.
Yeah.
And I'm still super excited to have this card in my deck all the time. It is narrow to what the decks you need to have. You need to be beating. You want to reduce its cost to 2 as much as you can usually, but it's one of the best ways to get through damage in the whole format because it is more than doubling the damage you had on board. When you attack with a 5/5 and they don't block, they take 12.
It's not 5.
It's not even 10.
Yeah.
10 is doubling. No, it's 12.
It's worse than that for you, sir, or madam. This is a sick one. One of my favorite ways to push through damage. Fun card, keeps people honest. This is one of the ways that we build up an aggro deck to compete in a 4-player pod.
Yeah, absolutely. Embercleave, which was a standard all-star, absolutely bled into Commander, and it is...
Ooh, we need the altar. We need Ambercleave with my cat.
Just Amber with a little...
wielding it.
Oh, no, I was thinking Amber with a little sword, like just a little paper sword.
A little baby sword?
It's Amber's Cleave.
That means it's time to move on to number 5. And number 5 is a very special card in my heart. It's Moxfield.com. So this is a 0-mana website that you can log on to for free. It has pay 0, organize all of your decks into the perfect folders that you need, the perfect tags that you need, so that everything is in a spot you can understand, and it's super easy to use. What a card.
If you go follow us on Moxfield.com because we use it for literally all of our decks. I actively, in the middle of our Commander game a couple days ago, stood up, walked over to the computer, and he's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I have to switch the card on Moxfield.
And it only took like 2 seconds.
It did. I have to switch the card on Moxfield because I want my Moxfield list to be accurate because when I want to update decks later, you know what I want to do? I want to sit down in front of my computer. I want to look at my Moxfield list, which is perfectly organized with all my great tags, and I want to say, all right, I want to cut that. I want to cut that. I want to add this. I want to add that.
Oh, being able to sort the cards without going to like a new screen or having to refresh the page is like, next level. But the actual number 5 is Umbral Mantle. It's a 3-mana equipment. Equips for 0, and the equipped creature has 3 and untap. It gets +2/+2 until end of turn. So the untap mechanic kind of historically broken. Creatures weren't really meant to untap and do stuff. So this leads to infinite mana combos. All your creature has to do is tap for 4 mana, and then you go, like with Selvala or Marwyn, and you go, make 4 mana, spend 3 of it, untap. I floated a mana. Let's do it again forever. And also your creature ends up infinitely powerful.
Yeah, this is completely broken, though. With Selvala, you need to make 5 mana because she costs 1.
That is true.
That is true. This card is one where it kind of doesn't feel like an equipment again. It doesn't matter what it does. I mean, it's 0 mana. It's first thing, it equips for 0, so there's no effort to put this thing on whatsoever. The creatures, you don't play this for anything except combos.
Right, you're not really trying to watch out. I have the threat of activation, and I'm going to beat in for 4 extra damage. It's like, that's not happening.
Not even a little bit. The whole point of this card is you're going to infinite combo. You're playing Selvala in your command zone. You're playing Marwyn in your command zone. You're playing an elf stack with a ton of different creatures.
Even just crappy stuff like Viridian Joiner. You got to watch out. This thing is if you see it, every alarm bell should be going off, and you need to get it off the field, or you're gonna get smacked by it.
Absolutely. I mean, it's tough. It's really tough to go into detail about this card because it's not anything special.
That's it.
It's just a combo piece. But that being said, it comes up all the way to number 5 just for being that combo piece, and that is saying something because it's not like it's doing anything else. This is a busted card.
It has no other application.
It has no other application.
Just combo.
And we're still putting it at number 5. That's how good this card is. All right, moving on to number 4, we have Sword. This is what Bees was alluding to earlier. It's only one thing. The Animist. This is a 2-mana sword, equips for 2. Equipped creature gets +1/+1, but when you attack with that creature, you get a land onto the battlefield tap. Basic. This card is, we've just been impressed with it over and over again. It is a non-green staple. If you're playing a non-green deck that has lots of creatures, get in, play this card. It is one of the best ways to ramp outside of green.
Yeah, you can compare it. If you've got tokens or dummies or, even just a commander that's not going to die early in the game, this is really close to Solemn Simulacrum. You're going to pay 4 mana, get a land onto the battlefield tap, but then you get something left over, and the thing left over is an equipment that's not going away unless they answer it, and it's just going to keep snowballing value, and I've had this happen all the time. Sword of the Animus comes down early, have a 1/1 token that's swinging in. You get in there, and you just kind of keep getting lands, but threats get played. They're more of a pertinent threat, more time sensitive. So they get answered, and then Sword just kind of sticks around, and then everyone's like, it's too late.
This kind of card, what's really, really good about it is it is a bad rate. Let's be very clear. When you start, it's +1/+1 is not very good.
Yeah, green decks aren't salivating over this.
Yeah, and so the rate is 1 land for 4 mana, and then you can get 2 and then 3. It does. You can start getting the value if it doesn't have to equip and re-equip, but usually it does have to re-equip at least once or twice to keep this card going. But what's really good about this card is it builds toward a strong late game. Mm-hmm. It flies under the radar as a card that, like you said, isn't getting removed actively, but what it does is it builds you up. Mm-hmm. You get a land, and you're not getting your mana back fast. It's just as slow as can be. But then you before everyone knows it, it's you're on turn 6 and that player has 10 lands.
Yeah, this is more efficient than like Burnished Heart, and everyone's jamming that card in their deck, and I just think this because a better rate on it. 4 mana for a land tapped with the potential for more, I think is a good rate only when compared to the other ramp options in the non-green colors, which is basically nothing. I mean, white's got some solid ramp, but if you're like red, blue, black, and this is like vital to your ramp.
It's a slow and steady card. Just make sure you can reliably have a creature on the battlefield to attack with. You usually want it by turn 4. You want to be.
Yeah, I think if you're like, I'm going to have a creature in play before turn 4, then on turn 4 you could play an equip, then you're in. Let's go.
Absolutely. So what is number 3, BZ?
Oh, it's barely an equipment. It's Lion Sash, 1 and a white for an equipment creature. It's a 1/1. It reconfigures for 2, so that's your equip cost. You can pay white and exile a card from a graveyard if it was a permanent, put a +1/+1 counter on Lion Sash, and then the equipped creature is going to get +1/+1 for each +1/+1 counter on Lion Sash, so it sort of suits up something into like a monster, dodges board wipes by being attached to the creature, because when the board gets wiped, it's not a creature, then it falls off and becomes one. And it's just like graveyard hate for so cheap. The threat of activation is amazing. This card is overperformed almost every time I play it. It's really, really good. I maybe in the future will have this as number 2, but for now it's number 3.
Yeah, I mean, this card it's very good. And again, we're talking about a white card, so playability is way down on a white card, but it's not an equipment. And it's so weird. It is a creature. Mm-hmm. It is a creature. It's a medium creature that does some good things. It's like a scavenger use. It's not a bad card, but it's not this great card. It's not a card I'm looking to be playing everywhere. But then it's just an equipment on top of that. And I've been very impressed with reconfigure cards. Mm-hmm. The good ones that can just, when you get them on a creature, avoiding board wipes, leaving you with a big threat. This thing can be a big threat by itself. It can just be a 15/15 in the late game where you pour your extra mana into it and you get rid of everything in graveyards. It can just be huge, and that's pumping a creature. And then if they kill that, well, guess what? Now you just have the Lion Sash, and that's not super relevant because a lot of times they'll just kill the Lion Sash over. But it is super relevant in the case of board wipes.
Yeah, at this card, even you mentioned being a white pip. How many different ways does white have to find this thing? You building the right toolbox deck will have this every single game, almost for free, and it's going to be real good when you do.
I've mentioned it over and over again. If you're playing Stoneforge Mystic in your deck, I think Lion Sash is
slam dunk.
It's like they're attached at the hip now. This just goes in almost every. It gives you if you're playing a Stoneforge deck and you need something to equip, it gets you something to equip.
Yeah, this well, also Stoneforge, but this
but this is even better.
This entire list is sponsored by Stoneforge Mystic.
It really is. Stoneforge wants to get all this stuff.
She really, really does. We got to go to number 2, which is kind of cheating because there's 2, but you tell me what the difference is. They're really, really close. Lightning Greaves, 2 mana equipment, gives Shroud and equips for free and haste. And Swiftfoot Boots, which is a 2 mana equipment that equips for 1, and it gives hexproof and haste. So better effect for more mana. They are a little different. They're not like the same cards. They don't all go in the same decks. For example, Lightning Greaves not so hot in Voltron because you don't really want to have your creature have Shroud, because if you don't have another creature to move it to, then you can't put more stuff on it. And even then, why would I want to be like, shields down, guys? Let me put more things on my commander. So Swiftfoot Boots is better in Voltron-y stuff, but then Greaves is better when you're tapping for mana. You got little dudes to try to activate.
I think Greaves is overall the better card.
I think so too.
Yeah, I like saying with these lists, if you need a distinctive number 2, it's Lightning Greaves.
2.5 is Swiftfoot Boots.
Yeah, exactly. This is just a very good card, and it goes in so many decks. People thought we hated this card at the beginning of the channel because we thought it was overplayed, because I think it is a little bit
I think
overplayed.
it's overplayed and overhyped, but I just don't think it's a bad card.
No, in fact, it's a great card. It's a great card that
Very
gets
serviceable.
that gets put in too many decks because it feels like a free roll to a lot of people. But
Yes.
when your deck doesn't need it, I really want both modes. I don't want just haste. I don't want just hexproof / shroud.
Like, I'm never going to play Mask of Avacyn, and I'm really not playing, there's a slew of cards that give, like, Strider Harness, +1/+1 haste equipment. They're both, like, poop. But when you mix them together, that's the gravy, because your commander is going to smash face right away, and they can't do anything about it if they don't have a sorcery speed or they don't have mana. They can't do anything about it.
Taking advantage of both sides is what makes these cards great. And like when you get the full value, it's when, and what I really love about these cards and where I'm playing them the most is when I want my commander.
Mm-hmm.
I want my commander to have haste. I want my commander to have hexproof or shroud.
That's kind of our golden rule, a rule of thumb.
That's been my golden rule. As soon as I want my commander to have both, I'm in. I'm in for this.
Yeah, get in my deck. We have a number one, and people might be able to predict it. But there's no way you could have predicted us shouting out the amazing people who even made this list possible in the first place. It's all of the patrons, and they're jumping in early.
Yeah, they are early, and they're scrolling on the screen right now. Seriously, thank you guys all for your support. You make this channel very, very possible, and you make awesome lists like this possible. So, what is our number one, BZ? I don't know why you said it like I was shaking. What's our number one, Scoob?
Skull Clamp.
Oh, Roll Ramp?
Yeah. It's a 1-mana artifact equipment. Equips for 1. The equipped creature gets +1/-1. And when the equipped creature dies, you draw 2 cards. Nothing about this card is balanced or fair. It can go in a lot of decks, even decks you think wouldn't be good in, because the rate is so cheap and the card draw is so good. Even if you just throw this on a 4/4 and sacrifice it, you're like, that was a pretty good deal. I paid 2 mana to draw 2.
This card is broken. And I mean that. I don't mean this is broken in a fun way, in a good way. This card is a broken Magic card. It is fundamentally not well designed.
Right, and that's old news. I mean, Wizards themselves will tell you this card was
yeah, and it's hilarious. But that being said, yeah, it's broken. But we have access to it in this format, and it is absolutely the best equipment. The amount of cards this thing draws is absolutely silly. The rate is silly. 1, 2, draw 2 mana, draw 2, and then 3 mana, draw 4. It's like,
so the floor is something that doesn't exist in colorless. That's like the worst you could do if you have 1/1s. If you have 1/1s at all, this needs to be in your deck, I think, no matter what you're doing, as long as you're not playing like Hyper CDH where you don't need as much card draw. But this card is just off the chain. It is. If you don't play it or you're a doubter of Skull Clamp, you got to try it. I mean, it's quite the drug.
I mean, it's insane. And Skull Clamp is a card I avoid because I know how good. Like, I could put this.
I've done it. I've done the thing.
Well, I can put it in every single one of my decks with 1/1s. I could. I mean, I have a bunch of them, but I avoid it sometimes because it is so good. It is so powerful. It is so. Sometimes it's so good, so powerful that sometimes it's boring. But equipments are very specific.
In general, yeah, this is a specific type of card to do a top 10 on because they're all like, not every deck wants an equipment. Not every deck even looks at an equipment like, I don't care, get out of here. Like, a lot of these are, you need to be smacking face with your commander specifically or some kind of synergy. Then you have like weird combo pieces like Umbral Mantle and Nim Death Mantle. Both mantles, by the way. Yeah. I just noticed that.
Just to throw out a last card on here that didn't make the list and I think was a little far from the list, but I really have been enjoying it. And I think it's slowly crawling. It's on my radar, and that is Lizard Blade. That card's been on my radar. It has been overperforming. I think, like I said, we mentioned Lion Sash and how Reconfigure is really good.
All the same is true.
All the same is true for that card.
Okay.
We actually have other top 10s, too, if you want to check out our top 10 ETB creatures, which is creatures that enter the battlefield.
And do something. If you're looking for more Nitpicking Nerds content, it's actually right in the middle of the screen, and you should definitely check it out.
Or maybe it's over BZ's face. Maybe put it over his own.
Maybe I'm trolling myself.
Yeah, a huge troll. Peace out, Tribe Scouts.